so that we can get this recording up. Looks like our good buddy Dan Edlin's going to jump on board with us today. Good morning, Dan. And
how we doing?
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Kong Family Show. Today we have a really awesome guest. I'll tell you what, this is classic. You know, this is kind of what this is all about. I got a message from one of my Kong family friends on Facebook, and it was a message telling about your story, David. And I saw that story, and I'm like, wow, I got to reach out to this brother, man. This is one of them kinds of cats that the Kong family needs to meet. And so I reached out, and, you know, here we are. You're on the show. You were so gracious to jump in.
Thank you.
And so really excited about that. But here we are in the Kong family, and we've got this really simple goal, you guys. Our goal is just simply to change the world. And there's a lot of people out there that might think that's kind of a lofty goal, but the truth is it's happening. It's happening every single day. People like Dan, people like David, and you know, all over the world, the lives are changing, and by changing lives, and by changing mindsets, you change the world. And that's what we're doing, and we make no bones about it. We just go about our business, baby. We don't care what other people think, right? And so we do it one glass of 9.5, one lightning bolt in a box, and one awesome guest, one awesome person at a time. And so with all that said, I want to welcome David Zaragoza. Zaragoza? Leave it to Helen will butcher your name if he could get around to it.
No, you know, when I was learning it, my mom is so funny. She found a good way for me. She says, hey, there goes that guy running by. And so I just made that connection. And
Zaragoza.
That's what I tell people now.
Hey, David, before you get started, I just want a chance to say hi. I saw you were the guest. I got up and jumped on here. I wanted to support you. I think Liz is in San Francisco. She's about to jump on too, but we just wanted to personally say hi, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This whole family, and the way we support each other, and the way we help each other, and the way we reach out to each other, it's just phenomenal. It's such a life-changing thing.
Yeah,
I know
it really reminds me, and I don't know much about anthropology. I'm certainly not an expert in anything, but I know that way back in the day, we were tribes. We were real small communities of people who really looked out for each other. And I feel like we have lost our connection to that sense of tribalism. We're so self-absorbed nowadays, and we're constantly distracted by things that are around us that we forget to reach out and help one another. And it wasn't until I found this Kong family, you know, this Kongan family of people who truly care from the bottom of their heart. And I resonated with that because I feel like that's always something that I've been missing. I grew up down in Southern California and in the LA area. And if you want to talk about losing a sense of tribalism, you know, there it is. It's just traffic and anger and poor weather, you know, most times. And so I moved up here to the Oregon coast, the Southern Oregon coast, and into a town of about 3,000 people. And that really gave me a sense of tribalism. And so I knew that I was on the right path, because the people up here in this little town, you know, we really look out for each other, and we lend a hand when we can, and it doesn't matter who it is. And so I gravitated towards that. And now 10 years later, I still live in this little town, and I'm meeting all these wonderful people through the Kong's water, and like yourself and Dan and Liz and all of the wonderful people who are sharing the water with me, and I'm sharing the water with. And so that sense of tribalism is really where it's at. I think that's what we've been missing, and Kong's water brings us that. So
yeah, you know, that's so cool. That's one thing I absolutely love putting this show on, and getting people, you know, the guests that come on are so special. Everybody has something special to share. And hey, there's my brother Sean Wetzel right there. There's my Kong brother right there, my partner in crime right there. So anyway, you know, David, I want to ask you the question that I'm always intrigued by. Is I always like to know how, why, and when did you get involved with Kongan water, and were you a skeptic like I was?
No, to be honest, and I think that you might be able to relate, but I didn't get involved with Kongan water. Kongan water got involved with me. It found me. and through just whatever you want to call it, you know, circumstance, but some type of intervention. But my aunt, who my mom's younger sister, she's struggled in her early life, and she really has done a really good job of pulling herself out of the hole. And I found myself in a hole for a real long time. You know, I grew up in a place surrounded by, you know, in California, you know, and so lots of violence, lots of anger, lots of really, a lot of people making really bad choices. And I almost got sucked into that when I had a really young age. But growing up now, you know, I'm an adult. I'll be 30 years old this year, and it's sort of a milestone because I'm looking back on all those years, and now I get to spend my time with my aunt. And a couple years ago, she was getting sick. You know, she had been diagnosed with some precancerous issues. And right around that time, she had met Ann Menke up in Seattle, and Ken Picken. And she became friends with Ann through Ann's Rawspiration cookbook. And so what my aunt did was she changed her eating habits and was able to create more, you know, of an alkaline diet. And it ended up reversing a lot of the medical issues that she was going through. And so that was the first thing that sort of showed me that, you know, you can change your path if you really want to make the commitment. And so it opened me up to a whole new world. I was caught up in consumerism. I was caught up in everything that we all get caught up in. It's so easy. But when Denise, you had Denise and Ann on a video one time. So Denise Vasquez, that's my aunt.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I certainly wouldn't be here with, you know, I wouldn't have all of this life-changing, you know, stuff happening to me if it wasn't for her kind of leading the path. And Ann is who brought the water into her life. And so then Denise, you know, brought the water into mine. And ever since then, you know, things have just been old news. You know, it's been progress since then.
So you were one of those people that you just had so much respect for your aunt that when she said you need to get this water, you didn't, or is that how it happened?
No, not at first. You know, like it was a real dark room, and depending on the size of the flashlight really depends on how well you can see in the darkness. And at first it was just water, and I had been drinking water my whole life. I never had a taste for soda, or it put a real nasty taste in my mouth. And so I was a water drinker already, but I was a tap water drinker like a fool, like most of us. You know, I didn't know what was in the tap water. I really didn't know. And growing up down there, the water quality was even worse. So when you hold it up to the window and it's brown and murky, you don't want to drink that. But when I moved up here to Oregon, I held it up and it was crystal clear. And I thought, man, this is what I've been missing. So I started drinking and never stopped. But now I know about the chemicals and the way that the pharmaceuticals, you know, kind of still remain. And I just didn't know. But once you know, you can't unknow. And so changing my water was easy because I was already a water drinker. I was just drinking the wrong type. And when Denise discovered this technology, she has an adult care home. We both did at the time. She still does. I don't anymore. But she was using the laundry water. She was using the sanitizer. She went chemical free in her entire house. And that's when I started listening, because I was paying a lot of money in laundry detergent, you know, and cleaning supplies. And so the 11.5 is really what got my attention. I was washing, you know, washable bed pads every morning for my residents who were incontinent. And I knew what the quality of those bed pads were like, you know, washing them every day. And she gave me a jug of the 11.5, and I was using detergents and Pine Sol, a little bit of bleach, and some scent crystals to make it smell good. You know, I did everything I could based on what I knew. And 4 cups of the 11.5, and I put it and I didn't add anything else. And those bed pads came out cleaner and whiter than I had ever seen them, and I was impressed. And so it was the 11.5 that got my attention. And then I started drinking the water and noticing how well I felt. And for years and years and years since I was a kid, I had suffered from insomnia. And and you know, really like nightmares and just bad dreams. And so my sleep improved. You know, the first night I slept better, and that was an eye opener, because I bought the Tempur-Pedic bed, you know, I bought the Tempur-Pedic pillow. I bought into all the different things, and my doctor had me on Ambien, you know, and that was terrible. And so trazodone and all these pills for all these things. And I always felt hungover the next day. You know, I could never really function very well. But that was all I knew. And so I started drinking the Kangen water, and I started feeling better. I started sleeping better. I felt better in the morning. So my relationships with the people around me started to improve. The relationship with my own self started to improve. You know, and that's the best way that you can describe it, is that when you feel good, everything just sort of feels good too, you know. And so I felt like I was finally on a path that would take me somewhere beneficial rather than always hinder me. And it was an interesting experience for me. I wanted to explore it more, so I kept drinking more of the water and kept, you know, wanting to move into that direction. And you know, like I said, so now my aunt, you know, we're both just 100% believers. You know, we don't drink anything other than the Kangen water, and when, you know, we'll go without drinking water if we, for whatever reason. I know a lot of your listeners can probably relate, because any other type of water just doesn't hit the spot like Kangen does. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, you know, my brother Johnny, who just picked up a machine from me recently, he got a K8, and he started drinking the K8 water for about 5 days or so. And then he took his water to work with him one day and then ran out.
Yeah.
And he was like, no big deal. I'll just go and get some tap water. That's what I've been doing all my life anyway. So what's the big deal? You know, and he took like one sip of that water, and he had to spit it out. He said, man, I almost threw up from it, you know. And he called me back and had to tell me that story. And that's a pretty common theme around the Kong family. And
you know, and that's the thing, you know, like I know a lot of distributors and people who they say representation beats documentation, and that's true, because I would have never believed it had I not experienced it for myself. So, you know,
that's exactly it, buddy. That's why I do this, because for me, I was a huge skeptic. I cost myself 6 perfectly good Kong months of my life by being such an idiot, and I wasn't paying attention. I was just passing by, thinking this is stupid. You know, water's water. You know, whatever, right? And then what it was a story.
Yeah.
It was an incredible story by the incredible, beautiful, wonderful angel Brittany Dykes. She put her story up, and that basically ended up. That's why I created this platform, is because I want to share stories. And your story, when I saw it, I was like, oh, my Lord, that's such an incredible story. We got to get this kid on here. And and I want to reiterate something. You're not 30 years old, buddy. You are going to be 30 years young.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got to change my perspective. That's what it's all about, is adjusting the way you look at things. So
yes. And so you started drinking the water. And once you started drinking that water, why don't you kind of enlighten people and, you know, share what I saw on Facebook the other day that made me reach out to you. Would you mind sharing that with our audience?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by share. I know that I shared my before and after picture.
And your story about the different issues you were having health-wise and that kind of thing. And so
for a long time when I was like in high school, I was diagnosed with hypertension. So that was the first thing. And I had always known that I didn't sleep very well, you know, ever since I was a kid, I didn't sleep well. And then the hypertension, my thoughts were not positive. They were always very negative, and that caused a depression. And it just spiraled, you know, throughout my adolescence. I was depressed, but they put a name to it, you know, and so it just put me further down into that hole. And so all these labels and these things, it changed my mind, my mindset, you know, and it really put me down into a hole. And I found myself, I made a home out of that hole. And anybody that tried to get me out of that hole, you know, I would push them away, or I would somehow try to sabotage that relationship because the hole was all I knew. And so the hole got deeper and darker. But what I tell people now is, like, every now and then, you know, you stumble across a Tony Robbins video and you can't help but feel a little bit of motivation. And sometimes, you know, you can keep that up, but I didn't keep it up, you know, and like, so I would fall back down into the hole, and sometimes I'd get a foothold, you know, and work my way up and fall back down. And I tell people all the time, Kong's water was a ladder that Ann and Denise, you know, put down into that hole for me, and I just climbed right up. And so years of hypertension, insomnia, depression. I was working a job, and I hurt my back. I herniated my disc in my lower back. And so that made me more depressed, and it just kept piling on. And I was a victim of my own mindset, though, you know, because it wasn't a hole. There's no hole. I'm not in a hole now. It was a hole inside my mind, you know. And so I was suffering through all these things. And 2 years ago was the darkest that hole had been. I had come the closest to suicide that I had in my entire life. But not long after that, I had a daughter. For the first time, I became a parent. And so that's what changed everything for me, was I knew that in order for me to be who she needed me to be long term, I would have to get myself out of that hole. And Kangen water came at the right time. It really did, because it gave me the proper hydration. It helped neutralize all those free radicals, you know, most likely caused by the stress that I was putting myself under. And then, you know, when you feel good, you just want to do better. And so when I had the motivation by my daughter to do better, and then I had the Kangen water to lift me up to a point where I can actually have the energy to go to the gym, and the mental clarity to maintain that motivation, and the desire to be better. You know, I feel like proper hydration, and it starts there. You know, the body is 70% water. The brain is even more than that. And the brain is the engine for the vehicle. And if it's not operating properly, then where are you going to go? You know, if there's no gas in the tank, where are you going to go? And if you're putting sugar in the gas tank, where are you going to go? You know, it's not going to work. And so I took better care of my car than I did my body. And so when I made that connection, I thought, you know, if I'm going to go forward in life, I'm going to need to take better care of this vessel that I have. And so I made a commitment to just drink the water, just do that at least. And that was the easiest thing that I could have done, because that's what made everything else easier. It made everything else possible. And so I'm not on any more medications. I'm chemical free in my entire life now through Enagic and the wonderful products that they provide. And that chemical free life has really reduced just the garbage inside of my body and inside of my mind. And I really do feel cleaner physically, mentally, emotionally. And I don't think I could have done it without this water. I mean, I was drinking water my whole life, and none of this stuff happened. It wasn't until I drank medical grade water from a Japanese medical grade device that, you know, things started changing. So I'm just very grateful.
Wow. Yeah. You know, so I know from seeing your before and after picture, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there that are going to be seeing this and they haven't seen that, so they don't understand that side of the equation. And there are a lot of people out there in this world. We see them all over the place, people who are struggling with their weight. And I'm wondering if you could expand a little bit on how that helped you out, and you know, where you were, and where, you know, like our buddy Brandon Bickford, he's on the live stream, and he said we should start calculating time with BK and AK, before Kong and after Kong.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm loving it. I'm like, thanks, Bickford, you rock and roll star. I love you, buddy. But you know how did Kong and water end up helping you in that regard? And what was your journey there? Where did you start?
Well, I was 300 well, so it's funny because just recently I've posted that before and after picture on Facebook, and I had posted a few others, but that one was probably the most dramatic difference with the most recent after picture. But I was 318 pounds was the highest weight that I had seen. I had a doctor's appointment sometime in April or March of last year. And when I stepped on the scale, I wasn't sure if I had been collecting agates on the beach and I left them in my pockets or what, but I saw 318 pounds, and that really scared me because I had never seen that number so high. And, but I wasn't ready to do anything about it. So 318 pounds is where I was. I was at a 48-inch waist, and I had an event last year that I had to go to, and I needed to dress nice, and I needed to go find a nice pair of slacks and a nice shirt. And I went to JCPenney, and I had to go down into the basement where they keep the washers and the dryers, and next to that was their big and tall section. And I felt real ashamed, not that there's anything to be ashamed about, but I just knew I did it to myself because I didn't try, I didn't care. And so that was another eye opener for me, was that 318 pounds, that 48-inch waist, that having to go down into the big and tall section with limited options and styles. And it just really put things in perspective. And right around that time too, I mean, it was a multitude of different things, but 318 pounds, very unhealthy, very unhappy is where I started. And I wasn't, I had that lower back pain. I had that herniated disc. So I didn't jump to the gym first day. I certainly couldn't. I could barely even put my socks on without feeling pain in that lower back. And so I just started riding my bike. I had a bike for years that never used. I knocked the dust off of it and did a lap around the block. And I said, hey, I feel pretty good. I could do this again. So I did another lap, and I just kept doing laps until I was tired. And so one lap turned to 2, turned to 12, and then pretty soon I knew I was ready to go to the gym. And I never stepped on the scale. I didn't want it to be about weight. I wanted it to be about how I felt. And so the first time I did step on the scale, I was 275 pounds. And I was impressed because my average was about 280, and that was for years, and I had got up to 318. And so when I saw that 275, I said, hey, I'm onto something. I can do this. I can keep going. And so I just kept going, and I haven't stopped. And so 12 miles turned into going to the gym, and going to the gym for 20 minutes turned into 30, turned into 40, turned into, now it's much easier. But it was a gradual thing. But when you feel good, you want to do good. I really can't stress that enough. And proper hydration, neutralizing those free radicals caused by literally everything. I feel like Adrian Monk now that I know about free radicals. I don't know if anyone knows about Monk, but, and that's all it is. That's really it, so. I can't hear you.
Where are you now with your weight? Just curious.
Well, when I took that before or that after picture the other day, I did step on the scale and I saw 215. And so I started out at 318, and I see 215 when I step on the scale. And I never would have guessed that was possible. I never would have imagined. Yep.
Yikes.
No.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Me?
Yeah. What do you have to say today? But you got anything? Does all this spur anything in your brain cell that you got to fly out?
No, I mean, it's stirring things up big time, man. I mean, one, David, good Lord, man. That's just being blessed. And obviously, it's like you were going through your thing. So many people want to sit around and wait for God to strike them in the ass with a lightning bolt of good fortune. And we don't do anything. We stay in the bleachers. We stay on the couch looking for a miracle.
Yep.
You actively pursued something for the benefit. 318, you got scared, and you made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. You know, it's funny, what you said earlier, man, was right out of my book, in the sense that people are like, yeah, you still doing your Kangen water? My reply has always been, yeah, it's doing me. You know, Kangen water is doing me, man. I couldn't figure out how to run from it if possible. And I want to bring up a point. I've got a real good friend, a guy that I've held in the highest esteem of my friendships as an adult, cat I played ball with in college. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. Caught him last night. We started talking right away. You know, it was always playful. You know, I haven't talked to him. We usually just click. Man, he got off on some other tangent and started getting haywire. And the next thing he knows is he goes, well, yeah, it's almost like I can't wait for you to get brain cancer so you can be shown how stupid your effing water is. And I was like, wait, what? Well, I don't mean it like that, but you're going to, you know, when you get cancer, then tell me about water. And I told him, I said, Bud, listen, you're going to get cancer before I will. For one, that negative ass mindset you're dragging into this conversation. And two, you're acidic as they come, and stress and anger produces acidity. So you can look at it as a pissing contest all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm right. And I know he's so proud. He's so proud. You know, like we were talking on the morning motivation, the ego and the true self. Yeah, half the time we're out there pimping our ego like she's got fishnets and stilettos on and she's the hottest chick walking the street, you know, and it ain't the truth. What's the truth is there's a warm, fuzzy girl underneath all that with daddy issues. You know what I mean? No, but the reality is we got into all that, and he's mocked me for all this phony nonsense I'm putting on Facebook. And I just kind of had to reevaluate things, you know? And I mean, I got into it with him a little bit because that was our language. But at the end of the day, I thought, I feel nothing but empathy and love for this guy because he's that sideways with, now, himself. And then it becomes, Kangen water becomes the thing he wants to attack. And, you know, he's even replied a couple texts back. Yeah, you telling me I'm going to get cancer before you? I mean, this is comical. It's almost like childlike in his responses. And I'm like, it's a physiological reality. I mean, I ain't making this up because I'm trying to one-up you. You know, that's your East Coast pride nonsense talking about. I'm talking about the absolute truth of what Kangen does for people and the body, you know, the machine. So listening to this brother drop it like it's hot, yeah, that's compelling. I had a kid one time, 6'8", 345. He went to 6'9" and 240 in 9 months. He grew an inch because his knees quit knocking so hard. His knees were knocking like he was trying to get in the door. Yeah. And he lost all that weight and grew an inch. You know, now he's a CrossFit cat. But look, man, that's just a beautiful story. I love your humility. You know, you're talking about, you know, the whole contemplation of taking the side door. No, man, we all go through that stuff, my man, and that's been something that I've been trained in over the years. It's just my gig. I'm a counselor. I mean, an intervention specialist, blah, blah, blah. You've got real good medicine, man. You've got real good spirit about you. The only way anything would ever take that from you is that's just the lies of the enemy.
Yeah.
You got good mojo. I like your style. I don't even know you from sharing authenticity here. I can't wait to high five and hug your ass when we run into each other because it's going to be on.
Thank you.
So I'm really proud of you, young man. And yeah, geez Louise, really glad to have you on the call. I mean, this is fantastic. And I just love your humility. And let that be your strength. You know, humility is, I've learned a lot about humility and vulnerability as being strengths more than weaknesses. The world tells us they're weaknesses, but in truth, man, people love and need to hear stuff like this because they're out there hurting. They're out there lost. They're out there confused. They're out there taking drugs, looking for the answer.
Yeah.
This is just nothing more than telling people how they can just really start getting right, you know, physically, healthy, and all the other things. Go ahead.
We suffer so much, and we suffer generally in silence, you know, and
Yep.
we live in this culture, this Instagram, Facebook culture, where we only see what we allow people to see, and we keep the rest to ourselves, and that just eats us up inside, you know. And what I've learned, I love finding these quotes, and I keep them, and I just tell them to myself all the time. But you know, one of the quote that I put in the picture that I posted yesterday is, "Old ways don't open new doors." And man, I love that quote so much because, you know, we all know that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so I kept opening those old doors and seeing if there was something new behind it. And there never was, you know, and it wasn't until I started to change my ways did I have new doors kind of show themselves and reveal themselves to me. And you know, the rest is history, hopefully.
Yeah. You're making your own history daily.
Yeah, I like what you said, though, about those people who are hurting. And another thing that I've learned is hurting people, they hurt people. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. And now that we're all, you know, feeling better and we're on this better path, then the healing people, they heal people, you know, and we're in the process of healing every day. And so all we want to do now is have people just jump on board. You know, we're going in this direction, and if you want to jump on here, just follow me. And so that's what we can do, I think, with this Kong's water.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, do you have anything, or Liz, do you got either of you two have anything that you'd like to ask David, or anything you'd like to interject into this? Or
Well, I'm going to defer to Liz here in a second if she'd like to speak, but you know, we've been following David's journey since the start, and we actually know Ann very well. And I remember the day that she came in and processed those orders, and you really never know where the story's going to go, but it's really amazing to see his transformation. We've actually been talking to him for the last month about me and Liz getting down to Bandon and helping and putting on a demo for him at his store. And, you know, after hearing this, it just, you know, I don't know how Liz feels, but something's really just resonating in me where I really want to get down there and, you know, lend whatever we can to support him. I mean, what an amazing story. And, you know, I just, you know, I saw the picture the other day, and then when I saw that you were going to have him on here today, I was really excited. So me and David have met before, but I'm looking forward to doing that with him soon, and we'll get something ironed out here pretty quick. We got some stuff going on back in the Midwest that's kind of got us a little bit hung up as far as dates, but we're gonna iron that out, David.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And by the way, Liz has got an amazing demo going too. So would you like to say anything, Liz?
Yeah, for sure. Here, I'll put my face on. I'm kind of waking up down here in California at my sister's house, but thank you, David, for being willing to share your story and, you know, all parts of it, not just, you know, the pretty parts. And you're just so real and authentic, and I just appreciate that about you so much. And, you know, part of it that sticks in my head right now, because I'm down in California with my sister and her new baby, is that you've made these changes, you know, for you and everything like that. But the ripple effect of it, you know, is gonna affect your daughter. And that's one thing is, you know, water today is as good as it's ever going to get. And your daughter doesn't even know that yet, but you are setting her up to be successful, you know, in 70% of her body, but, you know, 85% of her brain and 90% of her lungs and 90% of her blood. Like Dan's grandkids and stuff are Kongan kids too. And it's just awesome to see parents making the decision for themselves first, because, you know, kids aren't anything without their parents, but also for their kids' sake in the future. So I just think that's really cool of you. And yeah, we're gonna make it down to Bandon. I love Bandon. I think they got the best beaches on the West Coast. So we're excited to come down and educate and everything. So thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you too.
you know, when you guys get down there for that, it'd sure be cool to have some sort of a special edition Kong family show to share what you guys are doing. It'd be awesome. And so maybe if we can work something like that out, you just let me know. We can do. The cool thing about having this platform, we can do it any old time we want to, from anywhere, at any time, and I'm all into it. I'm so incredibly passionate about Kangen water that it's literally on my brain 24/7. It's even on my brain when I'm asleep because I'm dreaming about things all the time. You know, it's so.
Your brain is 85% Kangen water, so of course that's what it's always going to be about.
Exactly. So, David, I've got another question I'd love to ask you. This is I don't normally I ask people about what the water has done for people around them and that kind of stuff, and I don't really think it's necessary to go there in your particular case because your story is so dang powerful to start with.
No,
maybe
that's
what
not.
we'll do is we'll work.
I don't even have the most powerful story, to be honest with you. We've got this juice bar, and like I said, we've got people coming in sharing the water, and it's a small town of 3,000, and I had more kids in my high school than that, down in California, but we've got a lot of amazing people coming in and getting the water, and in fact, I've made a new friend. I don't know if he wants me to drop his name on a public platform, but he was drinking a lot, and it was really causing problems for him in his life and his health. And since he started drinking Kong's water, he's given up the alcohol, so that's amazing. And he's young, and so I've got a lady, a new friend of mine, all these new friends, all these new friends and family members that I didn't even know about are coming into our juice bar here in Bandon and experiencing Kong's water. And one of them is, her name's Tracy. She doesn't mind, if I share her story, but she's a very young, 31-year-old elementary school teacher with 2 young girls. And she was being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, all these, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and all these different things, and her energy levels were so low, and she couldn't play with her kids, and when she got home from school, she'd go straight to bed and take a 3-hour nap and then go back to bed, because she was just so tired. And she started drinking this water, and within 1 week, she was feeling better, and within 2 weeks, she was going to the gym. And she's 31 years old, a school teacher for first graders. You need energy when you're a school teacher for first graders, and she had none. And so she is off the pills. She's given up the specialist. She was driving all the way up to Portland to the specialist doctors for all these problems that, now we know, this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this. And Kangen water, it fights, the free radicals and the oxidation. And it just really makes a difference, and you never know until you try. And she tried, and now her life has changed, and my buddy's life has changed, and my grandparents just went down to California on a 3-week vacation, and they weren't as diligent with their Kangen water as they should have been, and they felt the difference, and so it's just there's amazing stories across the board. I'm just the one who has the pleasure to sit in front of this camera right now and tell you about it, but we know so many people with so many stories like mine, and most of those people probably don't have the courage or the articulation to translate that message. And I feel like that might be my gift. I'm definitely comfortable sharing my story, and I have the ability to translate the message. And if I'm able to be a voice for Tracy and for my buddy and for all the other people who are drinking and feeling good, then I'm happy to do that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'd love to have them on too, and hopefully, one of my goals here is to try and make people feel at home. I try to be enough of a wacko or whatever to hopefully it makes whoever feel a little more comfortable being here, because really it's about having a little bit of fun, and it's about sharing just incredible stories, because stories change people's lives, and we never know whose story is going to be the one that's going to resonate with who.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why, that's been one of my biggest challenges with this, is getting people to come on and share their stories. And so far, everybody that I've had that has been willing to come on and share their story in spite of their fear, every one of them has been happy that they did it afterwards, because it ended up being something that actually wasn't as difficult as they thought. And sometimes that's what we need to do in this world, is step out of our comfort zone a little bit. And if we just do that just a smidge with something simple like this, that it can change our lives forever. And so it's really cool to have somebody, just all the great people. It's been such a blessing to have people come on this show and share their incredible journeys with us. And we're just looking forward to more and more and more people. And any of those people, if you want to try and get them on, if you want to come on with them, that kind of stuff.
Well, my goal, JJ, and I appreciate you and your platform and what you're doing here with this Kong Family Show, is I'm going to show this video to them. They're already watching it. My phone's been buzzing this entire time. So I'm happy, because this video is going to allow me the ability to show, those people, my friends, that it's not difficult. And really the truth is I think we're generally afraid of being the only ones who feel the way that we feel. We're afraid of the rejection. And when you surround yourself with people who feel similar to you and who have been suffering in similar ways, and you understand that we're all the same, we're all suffering from very similar things, just in different ways. And that's how we increase that sense of tribalism, is we realize that we're all the same. And if you just help out your brothers and your sisters, then it's going to take you to a place that you never think you could go. And so
that brings me to my favorite question that I love to ask everybody. And this is the one that I told you I wouldn't tell you what it was until I was going to bust it out on you. Right. And, you've got somebody that might be interested in Kangen water. They're kind of on the fence, off the fence, whatever. And you've got just one thing that you can say to them about the water, or about the whole thing. You got one thing. What is it? What do you say?
I don't know if your listeners are going to enjoy this or not, but I find myself leaning on the conspiracy theory side of things. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, but that that phrase is interesting, because these aren't conspiracies anymore, and they're certainly not theories. I generally tell people in the juice bar, and I know Denise, my aunt, is probably sick of hearing me say it, but I tell people all the time that, we live in a world that's not designed for us to thrive. It's really designed for us to survive. And this is Enagic's 45th year. They're going to be celebrating their 45th year. And for 45 years, this technology has been available to us. But because we live in a reactive healthcare society, it hasn't been mainstream. We don't know about this technology, because it really does make a difference in a multitude of ways. And so in a society that's not designed for us to thrive, this is almost like a cheat code or a life hack, it seems, because it makes such a big difference. And when we're constantly surrounded by things that can harm us, we need the upper hand. And this technology is the upper hand that we've been deprived of for 45 years. And so we know, okay, 15 years in the US, but still nobody knows about it. If some celebrity has some product that they release tomorrow, we knew about it a month ago, but we don't know about this because we live in a reactive healthcare society that thrives on sickness and illness. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yeah, it is. And so this is something that will give you the upper hand. And if you ever feel like you've been held down for any reason, physically, mentally, emotionally, this could be your ladder, like it was for me, that get you out of your hole. And what if you've been searching for 15, 20 years like me for a cheat code or a life hack, and what if, and you're already drinking something, might as well make it Kangen water.
I love this kid. Get him on again and again. No, I tell people again, everything you said, we're not taught to think critically. We're in an education system that's just preparing us for the Industrial Revolution. And
I say that
news flash, that's way behind us.
Yep, it's over. We're in the information age now.
Right.
We have the information, but we just need to start using it, and none of us know how. None
But
of us.
again, our school systems are set up that way. Be
Yeah.
good boys and girls. Go get a good job so you can go make somebody else rich and you can make the machine, you know. And so it's to be able to think critically as opposed to just drinking the Kool-Aid that the machine pumps down our throats or wants to all the time. And I get mocked. You're going to get hassled. You're going to get ridiculed. But just, you obviously got the shoulders for it. And that's what's critical for us, you know, because we're fighting the business of medicine with the science of wellness. That's simple, you know. And we get into it with people on all that, and just stay your ground, man, because your testimony is powerful. Your humility is even more powerful, and your demeanor and your grace and your genuineness. Dude, you are solid as they come, man, and I'm really glad you got on this thing, man. Your humility, you didn't come in here. Sometimes, you know, people a little full of themselves and, you know, a lot of rah-rah, and I can dig that. You take it for what it is, maybe a little ego-driven. Your reflection of your true self makes me feel like I've known you for a long-ass time, and I ain't never done nothing but see your ass on here right now, and I'm all of a sudden got this new dog, and don't think for a minute I ain't dropped a request on you already.
No, that's all right. You're probably one of the
Uncle Wetzel reaching out.
Yeah, no,
No,
I
bud.
appreciate you. I really do. Thank you.
No, bless you. Thank you, because you and your transparency and your courage, you're reaching anybody out there that might be hurting and healing people. Heal people.
That's my goal.
That's what you're doing right now, brother. You're throwing touchdown passes like Joe Montana to anybody out there wanting to catch a rock.
Well, you know what though, you're inflating my ego right now, so you don't need to do that. But listen, though, you know, we say healing people heal people, but you know, maybe not. Maybe you don't feel like a healer, because I know another really good analogy. You know, we're gardeners. We're constant gardeners, and we're always planting that seed. And there's a quote that I love, and I wrote it down here so I wouldn't get it wrong. And I wish I had looked up who said it, but if anyone wants to let me know who said it. But the one who plants trees knowing that he will never sit in their shade has started to understand the meaning of life. And I come into contact with strangers every day, and I plant seeds in their life, and I never know what's going to grow. I never, ever know. I might not ever meet these people ever again, but I planted that seed. And if I have a chance to water that seed, then I will. But the truth is we're gardeners, and we're planting seeds every day if we can. And that's the goal, I think. And I've been doing that. I've been working on myself. And I mean, I'm still, what am I, a 2A? I've been doing this since last year. The goal isn't really to sell machines. The goal is to share the water and share the understanding. And that's been my goal, is to just try to plant as many seeds as I can. And the people who come in here, and the ones, the Tracys and the people, my friends and my family, I think that they've been able to see that that's been the goal all along.
Man, what a great, I'm so thankful that you came on here today, David. It really is, to me, it's incredibly heartwarming, because, you know, I'm 53 years young, and I see all these young kids out there that really don't even care about anything except what their next video game is or something like that. And they're running around blaming the world for everything and expecting everything around them to take care of them and that kind of stuff. And so it's so exciting and so heartwarming to see a young kid like you who has so much humility and is literally just going the right direction, doing the right thing that they should be doing. And it is, you know, planting seeds. Heck, yesterday after we drove through the Kong storm on our way down here to Arizona, we pulled into the Wally World in Mesquite, Nevada, and in the line, there's this guy, my friend Holly, she's talking about some sandwich joint back in Salt Lake City, and this guy pipes up behind and he names the name of the joint. And I, of course, I go, oh, well, man, I gotta tell you something about this. And I pull out one of my con cards and I give him a con card. And he goes, man, I just saw this guy driving down the road on the way down through that rainstorm who had like his vehicle wrapped with this right here. I go, yeah, well, there you go. I was just giving you a gift. So cool. Yeah. So you never know where that'll end up going, but basically I planted a seed that might change somebody's life forever. And that's exactly what we do. I love your analogy of being gardeners. And And that's a big part of why I'm doing this as well, is because we're trying to plant seeds, and we never know who's going to resonate with who.
Yeah.
I always tell people that I like getting people on here because who knows who might see this on the feed, who might see this on the YouTube channel down the road. And it could be a friend of mine who I've been working this and planting seeds for the last 2 years, and they might resonate with you and go, heck, I want to work with that David dude. Man, he rocks and rolls. That Jay, he's a nutcase. I don't want to work with him. I want to work with David. And you know, the truth is if they get a hold of you and they buy their machine from you, I'm tickled pink about that. I don't care, because for me, it's not about selling machines. It's about changing lives. I'm not here to sell people anything. I'm here to save their life. That's what I'm here for. They have to be willing to save their life. And as Sam Tran says, you know, you can't care more for people's health than they do, but you can sure give them information and try to steer them in the right direction and get them to that third party that maybe does resonate with them, that hooks them up. And so that brings me to the last part of what I want to ask you, and that is, I'm trying to help people coordinate with each other and get people working together with each other. And so the only way that somebody's going to be able to get a hold of you that's going to be watching this, and they're like, wow, I've got to work with this cat, man. He is an awesome dude, and I want this guy in my life, and I want to work with him. How do they get a hold of you? You can give whatever information you want. You can give whatever websites, phone numbers, you know, Facebook, anything, whatever it is. How do people get a hold of you so that they can work with you if that's what they choose to do?
Well, to be honest with you, this is a whole new world for me. This is my very first Zoom, my very first live, my very first anything. And I've always been anti-social media. And so I don't have, you know, I've got my Facebook page, and people are already, you know, adding me and messaging me, and that's okay. You know, you can do that on Facebook. My page is pretty public, but, you know, so Facebook's okay, but I also have an Instagram for the juice bar, and it's Rawsome Juices and Smoothies, or you can search for bandon.juice.bar within Instagram, and we should come up, or my name comes up in Instagram. And I post all the Kangen stuff there. I post the juice bar stuff, so about nutrition, about you know, the water, about just full spectrum healthcare is where I want to keep that on Instagram. Probably is I don't have a YouTube channel. You know, I don't do any of the social media. So you know, email dzaragoza21@yahoo. You know, that's about it.
Well, keep in mind there, brother, you're in the Kong family now, baby. You're going to be getting involved with Facebook and all that kind of good stuff, because it's exciting. It's a great tool. It's an incredible way to get information out there and that kind of stuff. And could you stand up just a little bit so people can see? There you go. See, Rawsome? That's Rawsome, baby. I love it.
We've got.
I want to reach out to everybody and let them know that if you do send David a message.
Can I show you the water sharing station real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're real proud of this water sharing. So it's just 2 machines. I got the 2 SD501s here. I've got, you know, it's not much. It's real simple, but that's all it takes. You know, we've got a station set up for the people to come in and get their water. And, you know, it's not, I know a lot of people are doing it out of their homes, and bless those people who are delivering waters and filling up those milk jugs and delivering them, you know. And not everyone has a juice bar to operate out of, or a water store, but the message is the same, you know. Just share the water, give it away, and educate people as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy, absolutely. And I want to just let everybody know that just heard that, and they're gonna hook up with David. Like, if you send him a friend request on Facebook, will you please do him just the common courtesy of saying why? You know, say, hey, David, I just saw you on the Kong Family Show, or whatever. I saw you, and you're, you know, give him a little message telling him why that you're sending him a friend request. Don't just send him a friend request. And, you know, because I know I get a lot of friend requests that I don't even accept. And I prefer if people, if they're going to friend up with me, I really would appreciate the common courtesy of telling me why.
Yeah, thank you. I
appreciate about themselves. And you know, whenever I send a friend request to anybody, I always tell them why I'm doing it, where I saw them, how I found them. And that way they're not wondering who's this crazy cat, Mr. Surprise, that's trying to friend up with me. What does he want? You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, David, gosh, what an incredible show today. I'm just so grateful that you were willing to come on, and I'd love to have you on more often, because I'm guessing that you're going to have lots and lots of great stories to tell as time goes by, and that's really what it's all about. The old adage of network marketing is that facts tell and stories sell. And you know, stories. It was a story that changed my life, and that's why I have such a passion for sharing stories about this. And so with all that, does anybody else have any closing comments or questions they'd like to ask David before we rock out of this joint?
No, I just hope I don't have to write some lengthy explanation as to why I tried to friend request him. I hope I covered all those bases here.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
No, that's awesome. And you're out where? You're in Bandon?
Yeah,
Oregon.
so it's the southern Oregon coast. You know, we're about 200 miles up from the California border. Coos Bay is the nearest town.
Yeah.
And so we're 8 hours from Seattle, which is a real bummer for me, because I know Dan and Sam and Ann and Ken and, you know, a lot of the people that are within our circle, they don't get down here very often. And I really do appreciate Dan and Liz for making it more of a priority. You know, Dan, like he said, we've been trying to connect now for about a month. And I'm happy to have the ability for him to hear my story. And you know, I know that the more I connect, you know, network marketing, I have a real small network. I always believed that it was better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. But if all my pennies are as great as Dan and Liz, then I don't think I could go wrong, you know. And so the more people I have in my circle, the more people will be able to help together. And I appreciate, you know, adding to my circle.
Appreciate you too, David. Thanks, man. Really enjoyed it today.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Hi, Lou Dog.
Yeah, there's Lou Dog right there. Heading to the park. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for coming in, buddy. We always love seeing you here. Have a great day, buddy. And Liz, thank you so much. Did you have anything you wanted to say to David before we?
Just so grateful for all of you guys. I mean, really, just for keeping the Kong show going, JJ, and yeah, just love you guys, and just happy to be in this circle with all of you. So enjoy the day, make it a good one.
God bless you too, young lady. Like your style.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's show. I just want to reiterate, as usual, we are the Kong family. We have a really simple goal. We just want to change the world. How are we going to go about that again, Sean?
One glass of 9.5 at a time. Thank you kindly.
One lightning bolt in a box and one group of awesome individuals at a time. And so, kids, as you go about your day, make sure that you don't forget your hugs. This is how you hug yourself. Give yourself a hug and a big old HoooDeeeHooooo. And we love you so much. Thank you so much, David and Liz and Sean, for coming on here with us today. This was a really inspirational show today. I've been, you know, I cry about everything. I even cried at the end of Rocky V. But you know, today got me really choked up. So, David, thank you, buddy. You're an inspiration, and I love you, and I look forward to interacting with you as time goes by. And you know, we're going to change the world together, brother. That's what
I agree. I couldn't disagree with you with that, or anything that anyone has said. And I appreciate your guys' help and reaching as many people as you can. And hopefully we can change the world.
We are. It's not a hopefully, buddy. We are going to change the world.
I'm still getting started. Thank you.
Love you guys. You guys have yourselves an awesome day. Go change somebody's life today. That's what I'm.
Giddy up.
All right.
Word.
Rock and roll, kids. Love you. Have a great one. HoooDeeeHooooo.